Item number 1, where'd she go? Oh, she's right there. Item 1, discussion and action on measures to mitigate the impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. While Diana's coming to the podium, folks, you can email your comments to cityclerk@yubacity.net anytime. Are you able to receive emails right now? Okay.
I did receive one comment from Arthur Rothenstein.
Okay.
He asked if there is closed captioning, and if so, could someone turn that on? And also, what about an interpreter? I let him know that we'll try and get that turned on for the next meeting if we have a virtual meeting.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Diana. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So Fire Chief Alexander and I are here tonight to give you a presentation on the action and measures the city is taking to address the impacts of the coronavirus. So city objectives: maintain critical core services, provide for police, fire, and water and wastewater services at all times, identify safety issues for emergency personnel and city employees, foster and maintain relationships with all cooperators and stakeholders, and decrease the spread of COVID-19. Our cooperation with local partners, the council and staff are engaged, monitoring and responding to current situations as they develop, as well as actively planning for the future, and we remain in close communication and coordination with local partners. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Alexander.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So the city has activated a Department Operations Center, which the reason behind that DOC is to implement the city's objectives that were outlined in the first slide, with an emphasis on maintaining the core essential services to the community. Every day as part of this DOC, we provide a situation report on that operational period. Some are 24 hours, some are 48. But during that period of time, we're identifying those essential service functions. We have a coordinator for each one of those services, and we analyze where every department is at. Some of the items that are addressed during these situational reports and DOC is some of the action items are tracking and documentation of the amount of time that is dedicated to the coronavirus preparation site, establishing liaisons for schools, skilled nursing facilities, and care homes, identifying key elements to make sure that those core functions are established. One of those is trying to mitigate as much risk as possible to our first responders, so identifying emergency medical dispatching protocols to alert them when we have specific instances that could be of a higher hazard to our first responders. And then each coordinator in the DOC is working on a continuity planning workbook that identifies the worst case scenario. In the event of a loss of 50% of your work staff, what is your plan? Loss of a critical facility, what is your plan? And a loss of inventory or specialized equipment, what is your plan? Because the objective is to make sure that police, fire, water treatment facility, and wastewater treatment facility are constantly working. In addition to that, we're making sure that we're gathering the information and distributing and disseminating that information out as quickly and as accurately as possible.
So in terms of the status of current city facilities and programs, our senior center is closed. Parks and recreation programs have been suspended through April 13th. Fire administration is closed to the public. Fire stations are taking precautions to mitigate risk to first responders. For police records, there's limited public access. And then all non-safety recruitment selection activity has been suspended until further notice. In terms of city business, as the situation progresses, city services will become focused on health and safety functions, which will impact the public access to city facilities as well. And for information, we're recommending that people go to bepreparedsutter.org. We also have information on our website, so www.yubacity.net, and we're strongly encouraging individuals to call the Yuba City Coronavirus Call Center at 530-749-7700. They have a lot of resources and information, not only related to the actual health aspect of the coronavirus, but also resources available to senior citizens, chronically ill, et cetera. So we strongly encourage folks to call that call center. And with that, we are available to answer any questions.
Any questions from the council? No? Just want to thank you, though, Diana, for you and both chiefs and everybody else who's involved. I know you've been working very hard to manage this crisis. It certainly is that. It's a new territory for everybody involved. But as we stick together and focus on core functions to keep everybody safe, and highly encourage folks to follow the recommendations of social distancing and everything else to try to prevent the spread of this so we can all get through this together. Also, rumor control. Some people already have fallen into filling in the blanks on their own. We're doing the best we can to get information out there as often as possible. We will do that again starting tomorrow to try to answer any questions or relay any information that may be new to us to get it out to the public on our end. Those three resources right there, I think, are really three very good ones for folks to hopefully pay attention to and utilize before going out on their own. So, comment from Vice Mayor.
Through the mayor, thanks. Kudos to the city staff for their aggressive, and they've been on this for a while. They have not sat back. Citizens out there who are members of our Yuba City family and the employees should know that they are in good hands by their leadership, the police chief, the fire chief, our acting city manager, and the rest of the leadership staff. I think it's appropriate to acknowledge the efforts of Dr. Liu. She's the Bi-County Public Health Officer. She has done, in at least my opinion, a very, very good job of shepherding us through an unprecedented exposure or potential exposure to this corona situation. I also would like to acknowledge what I believe is a much increased relationship between all of the local governmental agencies as we make decisions and press forward with this. That would include both counties and the cities in our region. I think it's, from where I sit anyway, and this was a key component or concern of mine, was regional cooperation in times of need, and it's being displayed out there. So publicly like to acknowledge those folks, electeds and staffs from the neighboring agencies for their assistance to the people here in Yuba City as well. Thank you.
Through the mayor, I just want to thank you both. I wanted to thank you, Mayor, for your first video and sharing the message of our city council, and well done. So I appreciate you doing that, and our executive team. Also, Vice Mayor Boomgard, I appreciate the fact that you and Supervisor Flores did a combined effort to inform our community, and I have a special thanks to our team for bringing the information in different languages, in Spanish and Punjabi, and then also all these sign language if we need to add those. I did have comments I'll share towards the end of when we have an opportunity for, as a city council, to report. But I do urge all those individuals that have contacted myself or any of our council that if you have any concerns or any questions in reference to the coronavirus issues, that please do call that number. The 530-749-7700 is the number that whatever your question or your need is a really good number for you to access, to find out or ask those questions. Because I've had questions from, I don't feel safe going to the grocery store, to what's the deal with the toilet paper issue, and from serious issues to very, puzzling issues at the same time. And people asking, why are schools not closing? Why are testing kits not happening, etc. And my response has been the entire time to assure our community that our council is working tirelessly, but really the folks that are doing the majority of the heavy lifting are our executive team, in particular our fire chief, Alexander, and I thank you so much for the tremendous work that you're doing for our community. And it goes without to say that from my short time of serving you as a council member, that I am very pleased that we are working on a bi-county effort to bring a one voice on this particular issue. And because of that, our community is way, way ahead comparable to other cities and counties in Northern California. And that's why we are demonstrating to you with our social distancing. If you haven't noticed it, we're practicing what we preach. And I thank our team for doing such a wonderful job. And I look forward to sharing on social media accurate and factual with correct information so that you're safe. And when you're safe, I know we are doing the best work for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have any, you want to go?
I will just say a real brief comment here. Just want to express my thank you to our executive team, Chief, Ms. Langley. Great job so far, and I know this city is in good hands. This council here supports you guys, and I am truly impressed as I was here when the joint message went out between the county and the city at how they're all working together to make sure that we get out the right message, that we're getting out the right information. And I look forward to the way things are working very, very smoothly. And I just want to say thank you. And thank you to our entire city team. I know we're asking a lot of them at this time. And thank you for stepping up to plate. You guys are awesome.
I don't need to repeat it 4 times. I just want to say thank you to our E-team and our city staff for making the citizens of Yuba City a safe place to live. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ma'am, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we received 2 comments. First one is from David Ozera. He states, I saw that the city of Folsom has closed all non-essential facilities. Is the city planning to do anything similar?
We are currently coordinating with Sutter County right now to make sure that, when we shut public facilities, that it's coordinated at the same time. So we've already shut down some of the public facilities in terms of the senior center, access to fire admin, limited access to the police department. And as we evaluate City Hall, we're trying to coordinate with Sutter County to make sure that that's done at the same time so that we have that consistent message.
Okay, the next one is from Arthur Rothenstein. How will mandatory shelter-in-place impact the city of Yuba City financially? Will there be layoffs due to this? Is there any reason why the city of Yuba City has not posted a tax measure on this last ballot, which could have potentially warded off any financial issues the city may face, given we are one of the lowest sales tax areas compared to Marysville, Sacramento, Chico, etc.? I want to ensure you have the citizens' best interest and not your support, as many politicians tend to do.
The first part of that, repeat that, please.
It says, how will the mandatory shelter in place impact the city of Yuba City financially?
I understand it won't be mandatory. It's going to be what's the proper word, Chief?
An order?
It's order, yeah, okay. The other stuff, again, this is public comment period, not question and answer. It's way too early to answer. It would be way too detailed to get into those details, but forgot the person's name. You probably asked the first question too.
Arthur, yes, he did.
Arthur, yeah. Definitely would like to have the conversation with him, but it's way too early to tell the effects. And then, of course, we get down to the revenue measure question. It's not the place right now.
We received one more, just came in from Lauren Halliburton. Will they let people out of jail?
It's not a question we can answer. Let people out of jail. All right. And nothing else?
That's it so far.
All right. I refer the jail question to the sheriff. All right. So we'll go on to the regular meeting for public communication. I'll just read this. So we obviously this is a virtual meeting, so appearance of interested citizens due to coronavirus, comments are to be provided by email to cityclerk@yubacity.net, and oral comments by a phone or in person are currently not available. So folks are welcome and encouraged to participate in the meeting. Public comment is taken on items listed on the agenda when they are called. Public comment on items not listed on the agenda will be considered right now. Comments on controversial items may be limited And do we have any comments for items not on the agenda?
Yes, we do. We have a presentation from Lauren Halliburton, and she also sent a message saying regarding the letting people out of the jail. She says she didn't ask that.
Okay. But yet the question was, will they let people out of jail?
She said she didn't ask that.
Okay. Who did you receive the question from?
Says Lauren Halliburton.
Thank you. And who's the presentation you saved for public comment?
From Lauren Halliburton. So she
Oh,
said,
this is for the feral cats?
yes.
Okay.
My name is Lauren Halliburton. I will be presenting information on the feral cats located at 1251 Stabler Lane. I would like to thank you in advance for your time and attention to this matter.
All right.
The colonies that live here have been fed and cared for by many different community members and entities. Yuba City Police Department fed from prior to 2009 until 2015. Community members have been feeding for the last 5 years. In less than a year, 70 plus cats have been trapped and spayed or neutered. 50 of those have been rehomed. Funding for this came from 2 community members involved in the project. Hilbers recently restricted access to the property on February 28th, leaving community members unable to feed or trap the cats. A meeting with Hilbers staff was counterproductive and did not lead to a positive solution. An attempt to gain help from Sutter County Animal Services was unsuccessful as well. The desired outcome of this presentation is that Sutter County Animal Services, in conjunction with volunteers, will immediately and aggressively move towards the acceptable practice of TNR throughout our community by accounting for feral cat colonies in our community with the use of social media and volunteer groups or individuals. Develop a plan agreeable to all parties to trap, spay and neuter, and rehome 100 plus cats from 1251 Stabler Lane in a reasonable time frame. Current management of the shelter is alarming. There's no community connection, no social media, no community education, no foster program, no TNR program or volunteers. Meetings with Diana and Megan, the initial phone call resulted in a very negative impression of shelter staff. The need for social media, TNR, and foster programs were presented in 2017. The meeting results were somewhat positive, but completely unproductive. In 3 years, none of these programs have been implemented. The flawed fostering program. Becoming a volunteer for the shelter is time-consuming and costly to the city. Fingerprints and a home check are not required by any other organization. There is no support in the way of formula, food, or litter, but you can keep a kitten from every litter you foster. This is the direct opposite of how a foster program should operate. When questioned about her solution to kill 100 plus cats, interim shelter manager said, "I don't need to look good. I'm already doing good. I'm doing my part. It's not my job." Policies change depending on the person and the situation. Megan will intake and alter a feral cat, who will then be adopted out free of charge and released back into the community. This is TNR. Other times she gives an ultimatum and will hold a cat for an hour while threatening to euthanize it if a rescue doesn't pick it up in time. Relaying these events has the potential to significantly hamper my efforts and the efforts of this group. In rescuing cats, we must deal with Megan as the acting interim supervisor. Realistically, she is not providing any assistance to the group, rather complicating matters that, per policy, she should not be involved in. The possibility of Field Haven, a local non-for-profit, helping the group is no longer a reality because of Megan's demeanor, comments, and inability to help her community in a professional manner. SASA board members and advisory committee. The most productive board had consistent representation. A past council member sat on this board for 6+ years. Current members who sit on the board are rotating annually. Board meeting minutes have not been updated on the city's webpage since June of 2019. The annual report is very vague and lacking information about animals taken in, released, and euthanized. The intakes released and euthanized don't add up. There are 589 animals that are unaccounted for. I'll let you answer the questions. Where did they go? The 2019 report indicates our shelter had a 60% live release rate. The live release rate standard for a shelter that does not take in feral cats is 90%. We fell 30% short. Residents who have contacted the shelter for help with feral cats have been advised to trap the cats and dump them a mile from their residence, making the cats someone else's problem or leaving them to fend for themselves in the middle of nowhere. This is unacceptable. They've also been told to return abandoned kittens to a taped-up box and leave them back in a park where they were found. This is unacceptable. Abatement of 100 cats and kittens is unacceptable. Abatement of 1 cat or kitten is unacceptable. The big picture. There are as many as 6,000 feral cats living in Yuba City. Abatement is not the solution. The shelter has not worked with the community to try and solve the problem humanely. Shelter management has not addressed the governing board with this issue. Not only is abatement inhumane, but it is not an effective method to control cat populations. It is more expensive than TNR, and taxpayer dollars are being misused. Our shelter does not take in feral cats per shelter policy. The community has been fundraising and solving this problem on their own with no support from Sutter County Animal Services. Feeders and trappers have spent a significant amount of time and money caring for these cats and finding a solution to this problem. They sought guidance and help from Field Haven, who backed out after strong resistance from Sutter County Animal Services to work with the group. Once again, the desired outcome is that Sutter County Animal Services, in conjunction with volunteers, will immediately and aggressively move toward the acceptable practice of TNR throughout our community. Thank you for your time.
All right, I'm assuming Lauren is watching right now. Thank you very much for the presentation. Clearly put a lot of effort into that. We appreciate your opinion. This is a classic example, I think, of there being 2, maybe even 3 or 4 different sides to every issue. And the conversation, of course, needs to continue, but in person. Be happy to meet with you or talk further, and we'll go on from there. But again, thank you for the presentation, and just know that we have heard it and listened to it. Anything else further for public comment?
Nothing's been received.
All right.
Mayor, can I just make one clarification on that presentation?
Yes, you may.
The Diana that she's referring to is a former employee.
Yes. Yeah. Good though, but all right.